Hi guys, welcome to a podcast. My name is Jermaine and I am a life coach or relationship coach from Abravah. And today, if you've been following us on social media, Instagram and other things like that, then you would know of a book that we have definitely put out for the month, and so this is the book of the month. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to a man who I've known for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Very long period of time.
Good several years.
Several years.
Yeah.
And I've always had a high respect for you, but after reading the book, I thought I knew you until I read the book, and then I was like, I know him that much more. Yeah. Okay, and so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Prash. Okay, now, Prash, you wrote the book Cancer. Yeah. Okay, now, such a great and emotional book that we was talking about a bit earlier. For those that don't know you, how did the book come about?
The book came out a bit of an accident, to be honest, in that sense. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2012, and it was a period of time in our life which was quite stressful, really, after finding out. However, we still thought, well, we'll beat this. Yeah, we'll get this. It's tough right now, but I'm sure we'll get through it. However, the issue she had was she had a aggressive form of cancer. Okay. And what we didn't realise that the cancer had already spread to the lymph nodes. Okay. Which is basically like the highway to the rest of the body. Okay. So she had to have surgery pretty quick. So they removed the left side of her breast, and they also took out quite a few lymph nodes, about 13 or 14 of them plus inside, and they operated on it and they took those out. After that, she had to go and have intensive radiotherapy as well, along with the chemotherapy as well. So it was through that that we thought, well, okay, we're getting on top of it. And we'll crack this. However, it was in August 2013 when we were hit with a bombshell, really, that she was diagnosed as terminally ill. Okay. Because it had spread to her chest wall. It hadn't reached the lungs yet. Okay. But that's when we found out that
it's quite serious.
It's very serious, and then we're looking at a possibility that she could lose her life. Okay.
Now, for those that haven't read the book yet, we are going to give you guys an opportunity of where to find the book later on. But how did you meet? Because obviously this is a podcast, so people can't see your face. So Prash isn't your usual English name.
No.
So what's your heritage? What's your background?
Well, my parents from India. Okay. They were born and raised there. And they came over to England in 1958, 57, around there. They were first actually in Zanzibar.
Oh, Zanzibar.
Yeah, in Africa.
Wow. Okay.
So they first went from India to Africa, and then when they realised that things were not going as well as they should over there, and I think at the time my aunt was already over in the UK. Okay. She said, "Why don't you come over here?" Yeah. So it was back in '58 that they came over to the UK and lived in the Black Country. Okay. Yeah, and lived in Wolverhampton. Okay. Yeah, so we were originally from Wolverhampton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My brother was born in 1961. Okay. My sister in 64, and I was born in 66.
Okay. And was you all born in the Black Country?
Yes, we were all born in Wolverhampton.
Oh, so you didn't come up with the yam accent?
No. I better not say, thankfully.
No offence to anyone from the Black Country.
Yeah. No. And we lived in Wolverhampton for quite a while. Then in 1972. Okay. December we moved to Birmingham. Okay. So we moved to Birmingham in 1972, and we've been in Birmingham ever since. Only recently, the last 7 years, have I moved to Sutton Coldfield. Okay. In Streatley. So I live up there now. Okay. But most of my life was in the inner cities, and lived about literally 5-minute walk from Villa Park.
Okay, so a big shout out as well to Villa Park fans as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you and Tanvi meet?
Well, we had an arranged marriage.
I was going to say, I read that in the book, but I thought, let me just get because it's not it's a tradition, but seems to be kind of dying out a little bit more now.
Yeah, it is. But culturally, the word arrange kind of doesn't give the clear picture of what it actually. It's more of an introduction.
Okay.
Yeah. Arrange kind of gives the connotation that there you go. That's what you mean. It's sorted.
Okay.
You have no choice, but you do.
Yeah.
And it was back in '98. I decided, my parents going, why don't we go to India? Plenty of choices out there. Yeah. And I thought, well, okay, nobody's asking here. So, so I thought, go over to India, and went over in March. Around March 98.
Okay.
Went over and felt really good about myself, and my dad says, we've had about 65 inquiries.
Oh wow.
So yeah, the ego kind of
so the head went a bit big.
Yeah, oh yes, kind of, and they said, but however they soon brought that down to us. So we've whittled it down to 5. And out of that, you're seeing 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you've gone from 68 to 5 to 2.
Yeah, basically,
wow.
in the space of 5 minutes. So it's like okay. So, but the whole arranged marriage basically is based on trust. Okay. Trusting your parents, trusting that they're going to make the right choices for you.
Yeah.
And that's how culturally it is how it works. So went out to India and met 2 ladies.
Okay.
And the first one didn't pan out as well. But the second one is when I met Tanvi.
So what was it about Tanvi that stuck out from the 68 to the 5 to the 2 to the 1?
Well, I never saw most of the 68, so you will never know what was that. I think I'd be still there trying to figure that one out, to be honest. I know. But I think we considering I was from here, I wasn't sure how her English was, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we spoke. We spoke for 45 minutes.
Oh wow, okay.
And that was it.
And do you remember what that first conversation was about?
Yeah, we just kind of. I had some ground rules, like she would ask me questions, I would ask her questions, and she said like. She would turn and say, would you ever come and live in India? And I said, no. Yeah. And she goes, okay then. Says, and then I asked her some questions as well. I can't remember exactly the type of questions I asked.
Yeah.
And then I would just naturally talk. It was only later on that she confessed to me that she didn't quite understand what I was saying half the time, which was great. I thought, all right, that's gone down well. So we spent 45 minutes talking and within our community, there are some guys who tend to go, I want a wife who's like this, she's this like that, she must be this, or she can't put weight on, or she's got to be fair skinned, or she's got to be this and that, and which I was like, I just want to meet someone who I can get along with.
Yeah.
Which is, let's keep it simple, and so we spoke for 45 minutes, and then they went back to their house, and then my parents were asking, well, what do you think? And I said, well, she's fine, yeah, it's okay, I'm quite happy to proceed here.
Okay.
And it's quite strange how parents, politics gets everywhere, and they go, yeah, but we don't want to tell them too early.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, because we don't want to show our hand too early.
Yeah.
So we don't want to
play hard desperate. To get.
Yeah, let's not be so desperate. I'm thinking, crikey, I'm only here for 5 weeks. Coming up, we've got to try and fit everything in here. But we managed to, we get to that point where we met. We met on I came on the 28th.
Okay.
Sorry, I came on the 25th. We met on the 28th of March.
So literally a couple of days as you got there,
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had a deadline. I'm going back in May.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. On the 3rd of April, we got engaged.
Okay. Wow, okay.
On the 7th of April, we had a register wedding, British Consulate. Yeah, but that was done in the flat, my dad's flat, because her relative worked at British Consulate, so we could sign the papers.
Okay.
The 20th of April, we had the Indian wedding.
Wow.
And the 5th of May, I'm back in England.
So within 5 weeks, you've met somebody, had a conversation,
that's right,
got engaged,
got
married,
that's right,
and then you was a husband.
That's right.
In 5 weeks?
In 5 weeks, and I'm back home.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long was you married for? How long was you?
16 years.
16 years?
Yeah, 16 years.
So what was it about because we're talking like the younger Prash now who in 5 weeks has gone over and said, I'm going to meet somebody and come back married.
Yeah.
How did you feel different in yourself, or how did you feel in yourself?
It was quite a relief, to be honest.
Okay.
Because in our culture, as soon as my sister got married, all eyes were on me.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's right. Yeah. You go to any function, any this, any that, you'd be amazed how many people are starting to ask questions.
Yeah.
And they're like speaking to my parents. It's honestly, most weddings are like dating agencies, you know. Wow. It's like, because the only people that are probably interested in the actual wedding are the immediate family. Yeah. Everybody else is trying to fix up somebody doing something of that ilk.
Yeah.
And there's always an in between.
Yeah.
There's always someone in the middle who's like a negotiator in that sense. And I remember going to weddings here, and I'm standing with my friends, and parents are not that subtle. Yeah. And they're like, wait, come over here. And they're like, all right, something's cooking on here, you know. Yeah. And they're kind of taking the mick out of you.
Oh wow.
And you just kind of and that's how. So for me, after I got married and I went to the first function, nobody wanted to know me. So I was like,
that's not your turn anymore to be bothered.
I'm done. He's done. He's out the way. Yeah. Let's move on. And it was quite nice to just, you know, not have centre of attention in that way.
Yeah.
So, because it can be a bit of there can be pressure there as well. Yeah. You know, because you want to be doing the right thing.
Yeah.
An arranged marriage isn't something you take lightly.
Okay.
You've got to be 100% committed.
So how long did it take you to kind of really get to know Tanvi? Because obviously you can't back out now. You're married. And I'm guessing from what I read,
getting to know the person now takes time. I mean, it took her a year to get over here, first of all.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it takes that long to get through, to do it legally and everything, through the paperwork and everything. So it was only June 99. Just not even June. Yeah, around that period, I think, when she first came over.
Okay.
Yeah, from and we struggled at first purely because of she'd struggled to settle in England, lifestyle there and life culture here.
Yeah.
9 o'clock, we're batting down the hatches and we're like shutting the doors. Over there, it's a nightlife. There's activities going on, so she found it difficult to adjust.
Okay.
But she was very very sharp and very, you know, she wouldn't back down on anything, and she'd really go out and kind of lay a footprint down on what she wanted to do.
And I read that in the book. She was quite determined to learn. She had an eager understanding or knowledge to want to learn, because I remember reading the book that she came over and kind of learned how to speak English and went to English courses.
Yeah, within a couple of weeks she went to Warsaw College and started to learn how to speak, improve her English.
Yeah.
And she excelled in that, and then it was a case of, well, what do you want to do work-wise? She didn't want to just do any job.
Yeah.
You know, she already had a master's degree from India. She also has a BSc in chemistry. Wow. So she's highly intelligent.
So she's come over very educated. And knowledgeable.
However, she still wanted to learn something here, and she had a choice. She could have done a 1-year BSc in chemistry, just top that up for a year and then go and work in a lab. But her heart was in doing a law degree.
Yes, which I read.
Yeah, and I said, well, that's 5 years.
Yeah.
So I said, well, she goes, well, what do you think? What do you think I should do? I said, well, I'm here to back you.
Yeah.
You do it. Long term for us, it's better.
Yeah.
Financially, and because it's not just about us, but future kids.
Yeah.
We have kids. So she went and she did the law degree.
Wow.
And she had 2 kids in the process. And she didn't hit anything lower than a 2-1.
Man, and one of the beautiful things I read within the book that was jumping out for me was throughout the whole book, and it's so knowing you, I could see that and be like, that's just him anyway. You were so supportive throughout, from the moment you've met your wife and she's over here studying, from the kids to obviously towards the very end. You were still you, but there were bits of we're going to come to that, but there were points where you were talking about there's only so much you can hold down for so long before you kind of explode and you hurt others.
That's right.
So how is it how did you find supporting your wife when she's come over to England, studying, because obviously you got to be the main earner at the time.
Yeah.
and then obviously being a parent as well for the first time and then the second time, and still earning and looking after the family. How did you find that? Because I know there's a lot of guys who want to support their partner, but then with finance strains, they're thinking, well, two of us got to get a job. It's too difficult.
You have to tough it out.
Yeah.
You have to understand that there's a bigger picture here.
Absolutely.
And the bigger picture is your future, but not just yours, your kids' futures as well. You see, too many times, a lot of people want the good things in life. Yeah. But you're going to have to work hard for the good things in life.
Absolutely.
And you've got to put the effort in.
Yeah.
And she was willing to do that, and I was willing to support her in doing that. And she was a very hard worker. She was very sharp intellectually, and you know, and what she achieved as well in her work. But every obstacle you face is a building block for your marriage when you overcome them. And those are the foundations that you lay. And it is going through each obstacle which allows us, which we can say, yes, that's our victory.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's great. Now I love that. I love that. And I was going to ask as well, because obviously with the building blocks that you've learned, because you've learned so much.
Yeah.
I mean, because I just looked at my notes again, and something I wanted to pick up on was you've come over, you've got married, studying, and then you went and changed the whole dynamic by becoming a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, what was that about?
Oh, that was a bolt out the blue for me.
Yeah.
Didn't see it coming. I think from growing up in this country, born and raised, when back in school, when we used to sing hymns, we used to sing hymns. Yeah. So, okay, we made fun of the hymns, you know, wouldn't make up new words and what have you. Yeah. However, you can see that the foundation was laid way back then. Yeah. In terms of understanding a faith. However, didn't cross my mind. Didn't think I would ever. I wouldn't class myself as being. I wasn't religious as such. I mean, even in our own community, our own religion, as a Hindu, we only did what our parents said. Do this, so we did it.
Okay.
We didn't know why we were doing it. We just did it. We just, Mom says, "Oh, do this. You can do that, and do this, and this will happen." Yeah. And you think, "Oh, okay." But we never questioned it. We never asked. We just, okay, we'll do as you're told, kind of thing, but it was never. However, I was always interested in. There's something out there. Okay. There's more out there to life. Yeah. You talked about, the pressures of life and dealing with all those different aspects of working and what have you, and then we're still living at our parents' house at this point in time. Yeah. Yeah. So we're still living at our parents' house, and we're still trying to not establish. We're basically living out of a room. Yeah. Yeah. So the pressure's there. Wow. So you're thinking, and it was that pressure, which ultimately led me to give my life to Christ.
Wow. And was there a change in your relationship? Because I know, reading the book, it was a while after Tanvi became a Christian as well. Yeah. So you've got one who was she practicing Hindu still?
Yeah, she was.
And I was living by culture, and then you're kind of living by something completely new,
different.
And still being married. Yeah. What kind of dynamic did that bring to your relationship?
It brought a different dynamic because I suddenly now believe in something which is totally different to what she does. And they, first of all, had... I did have a welcoming committee once waiting for me at home when I came back from church, because first of all, he's up early on a Sunday. Yeah. That doesn't happen. So why is he up early on a Sunday? So I'm up on a Sunday, I've gone to church and I've come back and I'm thinking, oh, that's okay. They seem to be okay with this. Yeah. I come home and Mum, Dad and the missus standing there, kind of what's going on, kind of thing. And I remember Dad, bless him, going off on a mini rant. Yeah. I was going to run off and go off in the hills and
kind of being a cult, is it?
Being a cult or something like that. And he's, I'm going to go, you've got responsibilities and this and that, you got children and you got a wife and this. And I remember sitting with him and just saying, Dad, you see this book? Because I had my Bible, and I said, you see this book, Dad? This book is about family. Yeah. It's about family. It's about looking after your family. Mm-hmm. and not abandoning them. And he went, oh, okay. And they said, Well, it could be worse. He could be out clubbing. Never heard of it after that. They were fine after that.
Yeah.
But the dynamics with my wife, she accepted what I believed. And, I kind of tried to preach to her. I actually went about preaching to her completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
For me, I became your mad Bible basher, or hell and damnation, and I spent 4 years doing that.
Yeah.
Until one fateful day, I decided to ask the Lord. I says, "Is it me? Am I doing something wrong here?" And He said, "Walk in love."
Wow.
And then be quiet, because I always had a sermon. So I thought, okay then, and so when she was upset about it, I said, well, Jesus loves you and this, and I could hear the Holy Spirit in me saying, now be quiet.
Yeah.
And I'd be quiet, and I'm thinking, is that it? Oh, that ain't going to work, kind of thing. But I'm being obedient. I'm thinking, okay, stay quiet.
Yeah.
And I'd be going the next day to work, and I ain't going to work. That's what I said. He's 1-2 liner, And I did that for about a couple of weeks. And then one day I was at work, and I came home, and she said, I've given my life to Christ.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, I spent 4 years Bible bashing, and within 2 weeks of obedience, she's suddenly given her life to the Lord, and that's when I felt that we've started to work together spiritually. In that sense, I mean, there was never any doubt of, oh well, you're off on another faith, and I'm off another faith, so we're going to go do our different things. We always worked together. The commitment of marriage was always there.
Excellent.
Irrespective of what happens.
Wow. I love that. And so you say that when you became a Christian, the dynamics between you two changed.
Yeah.
You're now walking together as one again.
Yeah.
Even though you're walking together in your marriage anyway.
Yeah.
In a belief or a religious belief that you both believe in.
Yeah.
I'll call it a faith, not a religious belief. In a faith that you both believe in and started walking.
Yeah.
And going back to the book now, so I remember reading that, and again, I'm going to take bits out because I don't want to spoil it for people that want to read it.
Yeah.
Because I think if we went straight into the book and read it, I think there'd be bits where I'd be like, I want to get to that part quickly.
Yeah.
But there's a part in there where you said she was studying the word and reading the word, and that encouraged you.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about that one.
Well, she really started to recommit a lot more to the word.
Yeah.
Before there was the commitments of work and distractions of work and life and what have you. But after being hit with a diagnosis of cancer, she really reevaluated her own life and started to look at things closer in the word. And she would actually delve into the word and spend more time studying and praying and what have you. So it encouraged me to do the same more, so we kind of started to interact more, and it brought us closer actually, because we really did start to impact the word more into our lives, so it really helped us in that manner.
Wow, that's great. And there's a part in the book you said where you both went to Renewal Christian Centre. Yes. And met two friends that we're both familiar with, Julia and Cyril Regis.
Yeah.
Did your faith and the new church that you're both now going to, how did that help you both in terms of the journey that you were going through currently with the battle of cancer?
Well, by the time we joined at August 2013, she was diagnosed terminally ill, and then it was that point. Up to that point, we hadn't been going to a church.
Okay.
Yeah. So we then realised this is way, way bigger than us. We need some help.
Yeah.
So I happened to. It was my wife said, "Well, what about Renewal?" So Julie and Cyril go to Renewal.
Yeah.
When you know them, why don't you get in touch with them? So I did get in touch with Julia. She just happened to be on Facebook at the time, and I messaged her and we spoke, and she rang me, and we met for S2, which is the second service.
Yeah.
Going to Renewal really was, it grounded us. We needed covering.
Yeah.
We needed a covering, we needed grounding, we needed to be within a family unit that was going to look after us and take care of us and guide us and give us some home truths. And it was the best thing we ever did. As soon as we walked in after the service, I said, yeah, this is home. We've come home. And I had a good, strong, tight family around me, of friends.
And I read that there's so much people that kind of gathered around you that you know, that you call family now.
Yeah.
That was great support. That just came in at the right time, and you now have obviously adopted them as your main family.
That's right. Well. Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. I want to go in a bit in a book that we just talked about earlier, so we're going to share it with you guys now. It is a bit of a spoiler alert, and it was a bit where I was saying to you earlier, it was difficult to read the book because you're reading so much of your core of what you're going through, what you're both going through, with dates as well. So when I read the dates, and I was like, oh man, and that date is familiar to me because I was doing probably this thing in life. Yeah. But you were going through such a difficult time. But there's a part that I read where I was chuckling. And even my wife looked at me and was like, how come you're chuckling at that book? And I was like, ain't it quite a serious book? And when I explained it, she had a bit of a smile on her face as well. I was like, wow. And it was when Tanvi had to get her wig. Yeah. Where she got her wig done. Yeah. And you said you liked it. Yeah. And then she went back. Yeah. And you dropped her off. Yeah. And a couple of hours had passed. Yeah. And you went back, and you kind of described the scene as you walked through the door, and word. All the staff were kind of horrified at Tanvi telling them off. Yeah. And I kind of found it hard to believe how you walked in and kind of told her off. Yeah. And then kind of said, let's go. Yeah. And then obviously it ended well because you kind of had a hug. She stuck her tongue at you. Yeah. And then you hugged together. Absolutely. How was that for you? Because for me,
it was. I knew my wife. Yeah. When she's on when she's fired up for something, she's fired up for something. We're both quite fiery characters, as we were. Now, the thing was, her situation, her losing her temper and being upset about the wig, which was absolutely fantastic and it looked brilliant, had nothing to do with the wig and how it looked. It had everything to do with she's just lost her hair, and the fact that a lot of her hair was long and it was beautiful, but she's just lost her hair, and it is the emotional stress of that and dealing with that stress that was going on. That was what was going on. She wasn't being spiteful in that case. I knew it was the pressure of her situation. It was never going to be her hair. It was never going to be. And I was, as much as I disliked going in there and telling her off, I knew that she needed pulling out of that. Yeah. Because the staff were completely stressed out. Yeah. There's one poor old young staffer in the room with her, and just a petrified look on her face, because these people are qualified to look after people who have got cancer, so they're trained how not to say the wrong thing. So I think she really pushed their limits in that sense, but I understood what she was going through, but I knew I had to take control of the situation. And I asked the staff to, could you please step outside so I can just spend 5 minutes. And I just ripped in, and I had to tell her, I said, it's not your hair. Yeah. It's never going to be your hair. Snap out of it. Yeah. You're going to walk out of here, tell them it's fine, and let's go home. Yeah. And it needed to be done. I didn't like doing that, but sometimes you've got to do the harsh things, and it wasn't the first time where I've had to do that, because she's had some really. I understood her emotional state, but it was just as difficult for her, as it was for me, even more so for her in that sense.
Definitely. And what, it leads me to my next question is, so how does a man who has two young kids as well, and his wife who's quite terminally ill, where did you put your mind to go through that? Because that's got to be really difficult, because I tried to read it and empathize of how would I be. Yeah. And it's something where I couldn't even put my mind there, because it's so difficult to even think.
That's the whole purpose of writing the book. Yeah. So you get an insight. Yeah. Without having to go through it, hopefully. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? God willing. and it that's why I wrote it. Where was I? What was I didn't have an outlet. Okay. I didn't have an outlet. All this pressure is building on top of me. And there were many times where I have cried my way to work in the car. Yeah. to be honest, I shouldn't have been driving.
Oh wow!
Because you're in an emotional state.
Yeah.
You're not thinking straight. I did jump up a red light once.
Okay.
And and all of us were in the car, and it was on a roundabout, and we were lucky. The guy broke pretty heavy, but I was totally oblivious to that because I'm not focusing.
Yeah.
And the emotional stress and strain of walking with that situation. Only now, by the grace of God, did I survive that.
Yeah.
Because I felt the pressure, and it built and built and built on top, and it would explode every now and then, bring tears. But I'd make sure I'd clear up my tears, get in the office, and just spend some time there. I did have a friend who had lost her at work, who lost her sister through cancer. That was a mini outlet that I had, which was absolutely brilliant because she understood where I was coming from, and she was an opportunity for me to let stuff out. So that helped.
Was that Sandra?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She was absolutely brilliant in helping me in that situation. Apart from the 2 weeks when she went on leave, because things just blew up then.
Yeah.
Because I got into a big argument. See, what I did at work was I made sure everybody knew what was going on in my life. Not just to tell them, for their own safety.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm a fiery person. I'm only 5'6", but I was fired up and I was angry. And you get angry in situations like this.
Yeah.
And picking a fight would have been very easy.
Yeah.
So it was more for the other people to say, especially those who would love to wind you up without them knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they didn't know, they're the usual jokers.
Yeah.
So it was more for them, like, stay away.
Yeah.
Best thing for you, kind of thing. So they all knew, so they kind of left me alone in that sense. But the one day I was going around and I was just talking and laughing, but inside I was angry. There was anger going on. Yeah. And it was building and building. And Sandra could see all that, but she went on leave for 2 weeks. Yeah. And then I suddenly realised my outlet's gone.
Yeah.
And I remember being in a team meeting that day, and that's when I broke down in the meeting, after the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know what the meeting was about. I don't think I realised back then what it was about, but I wasn't focusing, but I broke down, and that's when they suggested to me that I go and get some counselling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a lot of pressure. It's and that's the whole idea of the book, that people can recognise there's an outlet. I didn't have one as such. And it was tough. And
it's something, because as I read it, most men, when they're struggling, they kind of go up to the core of their cave. So they're retreating themselves and kind of lock everybody away. And so for you to carried like your family, your wife, you carried your work colleagues, because you just said it yourself, that you kind of let people know to protect them, that you can be quite fiery, but just in case they kind of do. And even then I was thinking, well, he's protecting everybody. So I kind of skimmed through the book quite even quicker to say, okay, well, I can read about Sandra, a few other people in Renewal. But there's still that element of, wow, who's he going to, or where's he? For me, I was just like, where's he drawing this strength from? Because to kind of know that, the difficult stages that you're going through, looking after your children that are emotional, looking after your wife, and still kind of doing your 9 to 5, and to hear that obviously you just kind of burned through it, really.
I think that's a brilliant example of burning through it, because I was literally burning through it. Obviously, when we were at Renewal, I would talk to Cyril. I could ring Cyril. I could speak to him, and I could have a rant, and and others as well who were in my close knit group. But even then, each day's pressure would build up, and you need an outlet. And sometimes I didn't have it. I would cry myself to sleep at times. There'd be tears. There'd be silent tears, because I'm trying to also make sure that she doesn't realise that I'm struggling. But the pressure was immense in that sense, and I did burn through it. But you cannot come out of that without scars. Yeah. And there are scars, and it took me a long time to realise and admit that there were scars. Yeah. Because it does change you.
Wow.
It does change you.
So 2014, unfortunately, Tanvi lost the battle.
Yeah.
Well, I finished her journey is a better way of reading it.
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
as I read in the book. And now you've got these two young girls who you've got to raise. I've known you for so long, and even after Tanvi passed away, not long after, I could speak to you, and you're still smiling. You're still full of who you are.
Yeah.
So where are you now in that walk in your journey?
Well, after she passed away, for me, it's a new journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey which I have no idea. I mean, it did literally feel like one half of me has just been ripped away from me. So I'm dealing with my grief. I'm dealing with the kids' grief. I have to say the schools were fantastic.
Yeah.
They had counsellors in place and things in place. Any letters and anything, stuff like that, they said, Mr. Nate, don't bother reading them. If we've got anything we want to tell you, we'll phone you. Yeah. So any trips or stuff like that. So they took away a lot of pressure. My workplace took a lot of pressure away from me as well. They were fantastic. They gave me. They said, come when you want, go when you want.
Okay.
And the directors were fantastic because they said, don't worry about HR. We'll take care of HR. You come and go as you please. And I didn't want to abuse that in any way, and because I respect the fact that how they looked after me in that sense.
Yeah.
It took a lot of counselling. It took a lot of counselling and a lot of soul searching and understanding who I am. The first 6 to 8 months, to be honest, the daytimes weren't so bad, but it's 9 o'clock onward, which was our time.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to do myself. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? Sleeping. I still sleep on my side of the bed.
Okay.
After 4 years and 4 months, I still sleep on my side of the bed.
Wow.
The room's a lot messier. Well, which is expected being a bloke.
It's
a good man thing, you know what I mean? And a lot of the smiles and what you saw was a cover.
Yeah.
It's almost like a split personality in that sense. At church, I'd be the laughy, jokey person, but that was my outlet.
Yeah.
I'm going to laugh my way through this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to crack the most stupidest jokes. It doesn't really matter if I'm upsetting anybody because the jokes are for me.
Yeah.
And my own well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have upset a few people throughout the church at times. They'll be fine. But at home, miserable, grumpy. The grumpy dad, as I was known.
Yeah.
Because you're suddenly alone. You're 48.
Yeah.
You're alone, and you suddenly you realise you got no mates. Because my whole life revolved around her.
Yeah.
So she would go, "Why don't you go out with your friends?" I go, "Why don't we go out?" So I did everything. We did everything together.
Yeah. And
then just suddenly have that pulled away, and then suddenly realise that you're Billy no mates. You got no friends. And I've had to relearn. I've had to rediscover myself in terms of who am I. And trying to re-establish as a person, where do I fit in? Who are my friends? And I had to rediscover who I was really, and just try and find out where I fit into this society and what I'm about and what do I want to do with my life. Really. Yeah.
So, lastly, because we're coming close towards the end of our time, what advice would you give, firstly, to men?
Yeah.
On two questions, actually, 2-part question. So men who are kind of going through this themselves, who don't come from a background of faith, and so can't draw onto that kind of thing, but also to men or to couples and relationships who kind of live day to day. Because I know sometimes you can get into arguments and it's that, whatever, and you don't realise what you've got until it's gone, as the saying goes.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you give to people going through relationships now where you're saying, well, actually, there comes that point in your relationship, or particularly your marriage, where it's until death do you part, and you take that lightly, but what good advice would you say to couples to say, you know what, now you need to wake up?
Especially those who, so married couples, I would say, enjoy your time together.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how much time you may have together. I don't want to sound like Dr. Doom, but I hear people say, "Well, what should we do now the kids are grown up?" I said, "Go on holiday.
Yeah.
I'm more enthusiastic for them.
Yeah.
So go on holiday, go and do this, spend quality time together. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
These were our plans, but we can't do that. You know, for men who are going through tough situations, just find someone you can trust, you can speak to.
Yeah.
You need an outlet.
Yeah.
Men are not very good at that.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
And also, excuse me, what advice would you give to ladies out there? Because I think that's the cancer is one of the biggest scary words. I was reading about it, about the statistics, which is quite scary.
Yeah.
What advice would you give ladies who may come across a bump and be too scared to not only tell their partners and families, but to kind of go and get that medical advice?
Go, and you have to get it checked out.
Yeah.
You have to get it checked out. I mean, as soon as we found out, we were all over it.
Yeah.
You've got to check it out. It is frightening.
Yeah.
It's scary. I know when she was Tanvi was diagnosed, before she was diagnosed, and I would say all the right things. Oh, don't worry, it will be okay. It's probably just nothing. It's probably benign. But you can see she's scared in her eyes. The eyes don't lie.
Yeah.
But you've got to face it and go and get it checked out. Go and check yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing that on a regular basis, and don't ignore it. Help is there.
Oh wow.
And people do survive.
Yes. And there's a part in the book that people need to read about survival.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to spoil, but there's definitely a great part in there of someone's testimony.
Yes.
That I thought, wow, that was really encouraging.
Yeah.
Powerful. And where can everyone get the book from at the moment?
Well, it's currently available at Amazon.
Okay.
So it was available at Amazon. There's also an ebook version out as well.
Okay.
So that's the best place to go out and get the book. If not, if you come to Renewal, we're at Renewal. You can catch me there.
Okay. Second service,
S2, usually there. And I can, and I'm more than willing to help out in that way. So
excellent.
yeah.
And this isn't going to be the last, because I think there's too much content that we need to be talking about for us to kind of wrap it up in one podcast. So we will be, for those that have enjoyed this one, we will be having a second one, because there's so much more that I haven't even asked yet. We've just got drowned in just a few of the questions. But Prash, thank you so much for coming today, mate. Love you, love the family, and bless you as well.
No, thank you very much for having me.
No, definitely. Thanks for coming. And for you guys that are listening on the podcast, this has been Jermaine from Abravah and Prash, and we've been talking on #RealTalk, and you can also get other podcast talks from Abravah. Remember to follow us on all social media outlets. So yes, look for us there. But from me, from Prash, God bless.
God bless.
Bye.